Since Russia's invasion began in 2014, Ukraine's military has transformed from an underfunded and ill-equipped service into a modern, powerful fighting force. Ukraine now has one of Europe's largest armies. While Russian hybrid forces continue sporadic attacks in the country's east, more Ukrainian troops are being trained to NATO standards to protect Ukraine's sovereignty for years to come. History, hardware, and heroism welcome to Ukraine in uniform. Tanks, an essential and formidable machine on the battlefield. In conventional warfare, these deadly tools are often the first used in any military advance. Their artillery powerful, their armor in case of attack solid, but soldiers who serve in tank units are considered elite forces. Then there's the military intelligence units. We'll look at those later. Being a tank crew member requires a number of special personality traits. They must be courageous, disciplined, able to think ahead, smart, and not afraid of hard work. In battle, every second counts. Each maneuver must be accurate, but also lightning fast. There are several ways to become specialist in armored vehicles, most commonly through conscription or voluntary military service. Many other servicemen train through military academies. Any future officers must master the tank armament, their handling and managing a crew. Their training is a continual process, not a one-off necessity, not quite as easy as driving your standard car.
Самое главное – профессионализм. То есть хорошо знать технику, без знания техники танкистом быть невозможно.
It's necessary to know the equipment and be familiar with the tank. Without knowing the equipment, it's impossible to be in a tank crew. The crew consists of 3 people: the commander, gunner, and mechanic driver.
Заряжается пушка в автоматическом режиме. То есть если каждый член экипажа профессионально подготовлен,
if each crew member is trained, performs their duties, interacts with each other member, and knows when to be a mechanic or gunner, then success is guaranteed. Being a tank crew member is among the most respected professions in the military. Groups of infantrymen must rely on such tanks for cover when storming enemy positions. Especially when using air power is out of the question. Tanks themselves are expensive to buy and maintain, but this price is much less than the cost in lives there could be without them.
Профессионально подготовленный экипаж способен на поле боя вести машину таким образом.
The professionally trained crew on the battlefield should be capable of handling the machine in such a way that it can be concealed from the enemy using the terrain, vegetation, and different obstacles, and by performing certain maneuvers. You should be able to change the tank's speed and direction so the enemy can not hit the tank. At the same time, the tank crew needs to conduct intensive fire accurately with the aim of destroying the enemy target first.
Должен вести интенсивный огонь, точный, прицельный, с тем, чтобы поразить цели.
If you hit the target first, you survive. If you're hit, well,
поразили тебя, соответственно.
The fire support armored forces provide on the line of contact can be both for defensive and defensive operations. Just facing a tank weighing over 35 tons on the training ground is scary enough, let alone in active battle. Yet the enemy may also use similar techniques to respond. Special training is needed to conduct tank battles, not just practical but psychological, to get rid of the inner fear of the tank. Why not try allowing it to drive over you? Perhaps this idea is not for everyone. The T-64B tank is the primary tank which is operational in the Ukrainian army. This tank is armed with a 125mm tank gun, a 7.62mm general-purpose machine gun, and a 12.7mm anti-aircraft machine gun. This tank has proven itself. It's agile, fast, and has high rate of fire. This is a powerful weapon capable of hitting the enemy from a long way away. Military intelligence is an honorable position, but at the same time, a serious and responsible one.
Багато людей вважають, що щоб стати розвідником, це потрібно подивитися 2-3 фільми.
Many people think to be an intelligence agent, they should watch 2 or 3 movies about spying and complete a basic course. Then they've made it. But this is not true. It's a Herculean task. In many cases, the tasks go beyond human capabilities. People must be able to walk 60 kilometers with full gear. Most people physically can't do it. And then the fact you can't sleep at all for 2 to 4 days. It's very hard work, and in general, you have to work, and do more work.
Це дуже важка і титанічна робота. Потрібно працювати, удосконалюватися.
Intelligence agents sometimes operate alone, in complete isolation from their group or unit. They have to overcome a lot of difficulties while exposed to a huge amount of risk.
Розвіднику потрібно стріляти зі всіх видів озброєння.
As they say, an intelligence agent must be able to shoot with all kinds of weapons and drive all types of military vehicles. Well, basically, an intelligence agent should be able to perform all these tasks. Even if it's the first time, they should be able to do them, because this work has certain specifics. The agent must not just rely on their mind, because in military intelligence units, you need to rely on your physical strength. Not every soldier can be a military intelligence agent, and not every reconnaissance member can work behind enemy lines. It's large physical and mental strength linked to a prolonged stay in a hostile environment, unfamiliar territory, and without a safe rest.
Група складається з дозору, з ядра групи.
The reconnaissance group consists of patrols, a core group, and a rearward covering group. It depends on the complexity of the task and the discretion of the commander. That concerns the structure. The lookouts are selected depending on their special qualities. They should be able to detect tripwires, enemy sabotage reconnaissance groups, positions of enemy snipers, etc.
Десь є розтяжка, десь сидить ворожа група ДРГ, чи працює ворожий снайпер і так далі. Відповідно, ядро – це основне.
This part of the group consists of the commander and other servicemen in position as needed, and rearward, there is a group consisting of other intelligence agents.
Ну і, відповідно, просто розвідники.
An experienced reconnaissance serviceman should be able to capture everything, including the smallest details, to distinguish sounds and the slightest noises, to determine what is happening around. He should be able to see and hear everything while remaining unnoticed.
Розвідник – це та людина, яка працює скритно. Якщо вже пішли постріли, значить група викрита.
A reconnaissance unit member is a person who works secretly, and if shooting begins, the group is exposed. The intelligence agent can complete the task without firing a weapon. Using a weapon is the last resort. He can sit a day, 2 days, or 6 just observing in order to perform a single task and monitor everything: roots, branches, how trees grow, and even birds' nests. Because even birds can expose the movement of any group. Psychological resistance and psychological education are also important.
Психологічне виховання, воно дуже важливо відіграє роль.
Quite often, Ukrainian reconnaissance teams come across enemy subversive groups heading towards Ukrainian positions.
Бувають такі випадки, що при зустрічі ворожої групи
There are moments when you could meet any enemy group, but you have a more important task than just eliminating the subversive group. You should mark on a map the place where you met the enemy group and continue performing your task. If you miss it, that group could eliminate those units located nearby.
локалізовують ті підрозділи, які знаходяться поблизу.
The military operations in eastern Ukraine have brought about changes in how intelligence missions are prepared. Mines and tripwires in the front line are a challenge.
В даній війні, я не побоюсь цього слова, війні.
In this war, I'm not afraid of the war death. It is difficult, though. Most mines, tripwires, traps, sabotage groups, and so on are in the red and gray zones. The enemy is concentrated at the front line. Unfortunately, many reconnaissance team members are killed in explosions, not only by tripwires. I can give you thousands of reasons how you could die in the front line.
Взривів. Можу вам назвати тисячі способів, від яких можна загинути.
But almost everyone serving in eastern Ukraine knows a fellow soldier who had died in the line of duty.
Саме важче, скажу, що це втрата своїх побратимів.
The hardest thing is the loss of a comrade. When you leave on a group mission consisting of 7, 9, or 12 people, and when you lose your comrade, it's very difficult.
Може і менше. Коли ти втрачаєш свого побратима, це дуже є важко. важко безпосередньо для тебе.
It's immediately difficult because they were your comrade, but also for intelligence agents. It's difficult because if they die, the group is exposed.
Якщо він загинув, відповідно була викрита група.
With stories like these, it's easy to understand not every professional soldier can undertake the demands of being part of a reconnaissance unit. To be an intelligence agent, you need to overcome all the tests and be able to fight and be psychologically prepared to survive the death of a comrade.
Саме важче в психології розвідника, ну і психології людини – це перехід грані.
The most difficult thing for a reconnaissance unit member psychologically is crossing the line between life and death. Many people who were morally and psychologically prepared before the task did not survive.
Могли там зірватися відповідно.
Ukrainian military intelligence officers must practice their skills daily. A real professional should not only be in good physical form, but also know everything.
Що це праця, 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 праця і ще раз праця.
It requires work, work, and more work. You need to be like a sponge to absorb everything. You should gain knowledge from the instructors, commanders, battalions, books, TV, and the internet.
Водіїв, рот, батальйонів і так далі.
Everything, because in an emergency, this knowledge may become handy.
Це все цікавиться повністю всім. Тому що в критичній ситуації воно в тебе випливе саме.
In this training exercise, the reconnaissance group sets up observation points. They aim to intercept an enemy vehicle.
Беручи до уваги те, що засідка є одним з видів розвідки, вона є необхідна.
At this stage of the course, the reconnaissance units conduct an ambush. It's necessary to practice this since ambushes are one of the elements of military intelligence.
Вивчені, узагальнені як і наші системи, так і натовські системи.
We study NATO's reconnaissance tactics, not only ours, because many officers and instructors have the experience of working with NATO units, including
В
intelligence.
тому числі і розвідки.
Learning the art of surprise and speed is one of the most difficult lessons for military intelligence recruits, even during training.
Злагодженість дій підрозділів як одного організму.
The key to a successful ambush is cooperation between the whole unit. Everything should be calculated to the smallest detail, including all the types of weapons. During an ambush, there should be clear communication within the division, so everybody knows where each soldier is located.
Чітко вказується, скажімо, місце кожного бійця, повинно, скажімо, організовуватися більше.
Retreating tactics are also formed when the mission is planned, not just ambush tactics, because it's not less important for a successful mission. In this case, the unit conducted an ambush with fire in a truck from one side, then clearly organized a retreat using the way they approached. There was a clear interaction between the units.
Здійснення даного заходу.
Ukraine's military intelligence has proved their professionalism since the war began over 2.5 years ago. Their main aim to protect Ukrainians from any future Russian-backed advance.
Господь дав кожному свій талант. Ну, відповідно, походу, це мій талант.
God gave everyone their talent. Military reconnaissance is my talent. It's nice that there is a feeling that someone needs you. And no matter how pathetic it may sound, it's believed reconnaissance units are the elite. There's a feeling of pride from the fact that you're worthy to serve in the ranks of the military intelligence.
Що ти удостоївся служити в лавах військової роти.
The servicemen featured in this program all have one common trait: to protect Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity. It's these people who take up arms and risk their lives to defend Europe's eastern border from any major attack in the future.